Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. So I'm reading today for Aries. I am doing a story time reading. I was actually going to do like a kind of Halloween you and them reading, like with like spooky cards, but my guides wanted this, so this is what you're getting. So it's a story time. It's an interesting message. It's definitely making a lot of sense to me. Hopefully I'll be able to explain it in a way that makes sense because we all know that I talk too much. Yeah, so Aries energy, and specifically it could actually be for Mars placements. I don't know if somebody has an Aries Mars placement, but when I was writing down Aries, I was really like overcome with the urge to spell it like the god of war. So I don't know, this god of war element, you have got thunder and lightning in your reading, which is very interesting. I don't know if I'm hearing now this means war. I don't know if I'm getting these like almost like two titans of industry like clashing. So if that makes any sense to you, take it. If it doesn't, just leave it. Again, there's something you feel like you're in the middle of something. I'm getting stuck in the middle with you. I'm gonna have to make a note of your songs. They're coming in thick and fast. Hold on. Okay, notes made. Now I do have one of my guides showing up in your reading today, so it's coming through with like the energy of my guide, but it could be somebody who plays a similar role for you. So it's like energy, so how it applies to you is going to be differently than how it applies to me, but it's going to be like a similar energy, if you understand what I'm saying. So with one of my guides showing up, it's definitely a lot of messages, a lot of information. It's that kind of guide, like a lot of information. You've got library here. So right, I'm going to tell you about your cards. So you have soil and library, and it's almost like, because I pull these cards out first, and it's almost like I knew I was going to get ancestral cards. So there were certain cards that I knew was going to come out, and one of them did, and it's this ancestral wisdom, lay of the land. You see these almost like sorry, it's low light because we're going into autumn and winter, and it's still quite dark in the mornings. So yeah, this lay of the land, this ancestral wisdom, it's like looking down and looking back at your past. And then these are like the like looking back at your life and seeing the patterns is the way that this is coming through. With the soil and library, and as well like trees and things as well, it's giving me like Akashic Records energy. Maybe we'll pull an Akashic Records 222 I'm seeing on the timestamp. Maybe an Akashic Records. Maybe I'll pull some of those cards for you at the end of the reading. But it's using this deck, it's like imagery that makes sense to me, and it tells me things. So the soil and the library, it could literally be, I don't know, maybe you're gardening, maybe, I don't know, you're doing gardening at a library, you know what I mean? Like planting books and making them grow. That's what they're showing me. They're showing me somebody putting a book in soil. Maybe this is something you've done. I don't know why you'd do that. But it growing into like a tree of knowledge. That is the imagery that they're giving me. And then you have this fascinating tree here as well. So very much what's coming out in my cards and my intuitive messages is starting to show in the cards that kind of came out for you. All right, the soil and the library is talking to me specifically about your past, right? Your history, your past. Somebody could maybe actually, and this comes out here as well, which I'm uncomfortable talking about, but I will try and do it in a sensitive way. But somebody could be looking at their family history, like, you know, like researching the family tree, doing a DNA test, that kind of thing. It's like learning more about your past, your heritage, where you came from. Now this could be collective heritage, right? The maybe you know, your grandparents lived in a certain place, or like somebody in your family came from a different country and you're like, I want to know more about that country, that kind of thing. So it's like accessing records. Now these could be literally at a library, you know, going up, looking up census and things like this, maybe on like ancestry.com or a similar website, no affiliation, right? But the soil is the nutrients, it's what you grew in, the environment that you grew in, and the like what was poured into you during your development stage. Does that make any sense? So if you imagine planting a seed, right, you are the seed being planted. It's like if you're planted in bad soil, so maybe like a really deserty environment, there's not many nutrients there, or, you know, compared to, oh, what's going on with my throat, something about your throat chakra, something that, okay, what I'm getting from this is like so I read cards, but I'm also a highly intuitive reader, so a lot of my messages come from my guides, like directly beamed into my brain. So take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But when my throat chakra suddenly closing up like that, I feel like there could be something in your family history that you've not been told. Now it's funny that I should say this, because my dad told, I'm not going to say it publicly because I don't think my dad would like me to, it was my dad told a story this week that I wasn't aware of, that he never told me before, and it carried a lot of shame for him and a lot of guilt. Now, he hadn't done anything really bad, but he was a child and he'd done something that had an effect on other people, and he was he was just playing, but he didn't realize people were going to react the way that they did to like how he was playing. And it's not, like I say, it's nothing really bad, it's just like not like what a normal kid would have done playing when my dad was little. It's like they were all doing it, right? But it's like taking someone from one situation and putting them in a different situation. It can, because the way my dad was playing was unfamiliar, or it meant something different, it kind of impacted on a community. So I can't, I'm being very delicate with how I sort of say it. Again, my dad did absolutely nothing wrong. He was a child playing, but because of cultural differences, there was an effect of that. And yeah, he carried, it shocked him, and he's carried a huge amount of guilt and shame. And like, it's a funny story, but at the same time it's really not funny. And yeah, so you could be, again, this is not something not a story I've ever heard my dad say. So there could be somebody in your family who perhaps something to do with your ancestry, has, this is something that they didn't want to pass on to you. This is like guilt or shame, or a family secret that's been hidden. Like families have that. Like we don't talk about Uncle Jack. We don't talk about like Aunt Norma, like because they were like the black sheep of the family or something like that. Maybe they had like weird political views, or, maybe they joined some kind of organization that was kind of, like looking back on it now, it's like, whoa, like that was bad, that kind of thing. But it's like family trees are like they have so many branches that every family, if you look into it enough, is going to have that kind of black sheep energy. So it feels like that with my throat chakra closing up. It feels like this isn't going to be for all of you. It could be just a small amount of you. It does feel like a message within the bigger message. Some of you could be looking back through your ancestral records and finding something that's like, oh, okay, like that's interesting. And then it's like, well, how does that impact me now? How does that, I thought I knew my identity here, and now I have to reevaluate my identity because this is part of my like ancestral or like DNA past. Does that make any sense for anyone? If that's not your story today, just leave it. I've got a very, very different message. I've got kind of like a love message coming through, a very intense love message coming through as well. So if the ancestral thing's not your thing, then kind of leave it. So the soil and library, soil, yeah. It's basically, for most of you, it's just kind of like looking back at, how you were parented, what environment were you raised in, what kind of education did you get, and what information with the library was available to you, what could you access and what couldn't you access. And again, if you think about sort of, say perhaps if you went to a school, that horn blaring could be significant. I don't know if you heard that in the background. It's like somebody pressed really hard on the horn. So that could also be significant for someone. Maybe also like horns, like elephant or rhino horns, like tusks. Hang on. Okay, I thought another message was going to come in with that, but it didn't. I'm just trying to go back to where I was, because really that was really distracting. Maybe somebody distracts you. Maybe you've got a feeling of like when you get close to something, maybe like, at family gatherings, you're talking to people and like you get close to being told something and then somebody will distract, like say you sat with grandma and grandma's like, oh, and then, and then this happened and then this happened. And you're thinking, oh my God, am I about to find out about that thing that nobody ever talks about? And then it's like, your mum will go, oh, would you like another drink, grandma? And like, come and help me in the kitchen. It's like people interrupt you. Could be something like that. That's really interesting. Okay. Moving on from the soil in the library. So then you have, I'm going to go to Starman and the Whale next. So very, very Aquarian energy. You have quite a little bit of Aquarius energy showing. You've got the thinking man, these giraffes here that tell me Aquarius energy, and just this general feeling of getting a higher perspective. So I don't know if you've got Aquarius in your chart, maybe Aquarius Mars placement, definitely worth like looking up. But Starman is a very, very Aquarian energy, very like I'm just careful how I say it, Uranus energy, which is to do with higher perspective, kind of humanitarianism, innovation, especially technological innovation. It always comes through with this very blue light. Kind of reminds me of like, you know, Ziggy Stardust. It always has that kind of energy to it, like a little bit alien. So again, this could be somebody you know. My Uncle David was carries this energy, so I do wonder sometimes, is Starman my Uncle David as a spirit guide? But he was you know, he loved David Bowie, and like, you know, that kind of, again, it could be somebody that you know, like, again, maybe like an uncle, like somebody who carries that kind of like slightly weird alien energy, like they're not quite human, you know what I mean? Like yes, they're human, yes, they're flesh and blood, yes, they're human, but they carry this kind of like kooky, out there, like, I remember I used to sit there and watch X-Files with my uncle, like the truth is out there kind of energy. So the Whale as well is like a really big secret. So again, this idea of like a big secret being revealed, a big family or ancestral secret, something maybe even about your DNA. I saw this week on Twitter something about, is it the Cheddar Man? I want to say it's the Cheddar Man, who is he was like a preserved like caveman that I think they found in England. I don't really know the details. I just saw one of my friends talking about it, and they've traced like an ancestor of him. And the Cheddar Man has very, very dark skin, and the ancestor has he's a white English man. So this is coming up here, and again, I get uncomfortable when I start to talk about skin color because it's such a sensitive political topic, so I'm just gonna touch on it, and if it's your thing you can run with it, if it's not your thing, you know, just pass it by. But again, there could be something about, okay, I'm gonna just get this out of the way now. So we're here where it's like, you know, she's quite dark skinned, and you've got like a Beyonce song, and then she's looking at this, like, I've never noticed it before as well, and I will come to talk about it more as I go through the cards, but it's like she's looking at this like figure of a white horse. I'm really uncomfortable with this message, by the way. And then you've got this many masks, the authentic self. And specifically what it was giving me, and again, I'll kind of cover this again in the reading, somebody could be looking at the past. And have you ever seen those, again, I'm gonna, like, it's right. So my feelings on this is the history is very, very complicated. You know, it's literally, like, not to make a pun of it, but history is not black and white. You know, history, there's a huge amount of weird grey areas, you know, and the more you look into it, the more you go into the details here, you've got details, you start to realize how complicated history can be. It's not like the good guys and the bad guys. It's, you know, the bad guys think that they're the good guys and they think what they're doing is right, but it has horrible consequences. Or, you know, like this person will be, you know, it's like, because everybody grows with their own perspective, it's very, you know, and sometimes there's cultural differences where people don't understand the impact that they're having on the other culture. So like, and obviously there's some things that are 100% bad. Like, can we just say there's some things in history that were definitely bad. Like, I think most of us can come together and agree on that. But this is like, and again, like, have you ever watched those videos of like people doing DNA reveals? Like, they do the DNA test, they send it off, and they have this concept of their identity. They have this concept of, you know, this is my culture, this is my identity, this is my family, this is my community. And they do a DNA test, and it's like, oh my God, I'm that? You know, like, what do you mean? You know, it's like, you are like 67%. And it's like, wait, what? Like 67% European. And they're like, that's not what I identify with. That's not what I was told I am. That is, when I look at my family and friends, that is not what I see. So it's this weird kind of, I find those videos absolutely fascinating, because identity is to an extent a construct. How we define our persona, it's a construct of the community we grow up in, like our inherited history and all that kind of thing. So when people do, and it's again, like, just switch it and reverse it, can be anything, right? Like, and if you go and watch those videos, you'll see what I mean. It's like people have this identity that they believe is the truth of who they are, and they do the DNA test, and it's like, no, you're this other thing, right? And it can go in so many different ways. I'm not saying it's one specific like thing, right? But it's very human. It's very I don't know, somebody could be studying Shakespeare as well with the books. I'm going to go and grab a book to show you an image in a second, but it could be very, if you prick us, do we not bleed, right? And that's, again, like a different culture. If you look at where that quote came from, if you tickle us, do we not laugh? If you prick us, do we not bleed? At the end of the day, are we not all the same, right? So for some of you, there's an element of that, right? And it's almost like Starman is perhaps leading you to this secret, the whale being this something that carries a huge amount of emotional weight, and it can be something that is very, very hidden. It's something that's really big, right? If you think about a whale, it's really big, but it's really stealth, right? So big, secret. And there's Starman coming through as this very humanitarian guide, kind of almost leading you to the secret. It's like, it's time for you to know this now, is the way it's coming through. It gives me the star whale as well. So if you've been to my readings for a while, you know I love this quote. One of my favourite quotes from Doctor Who, from The Beast Below, is he's very old and very kind. And when you're that old and you're that kind and the very last of your kind, you don't just stand by and watch children cry. So it's somebody who's so old, and it's kind of like they're the only one left. And then, but all their life and experience, all their hardship has just made them kind. So it's a really beautiful, beautiful quote. The panther and the deer. This is what is like really waving the wet flags. Maybe somebody has a Jonathan Ross, like a bit of a lisp. Wet flags. I'm not making fun. Again, I've got a sense of humor about everything. I laugh at everything, right? I guess everything, like, the world is a stage, like the world is a comedy, to me. So I don't tend to take very seriously, and when I do, you'll fucking know it. So this is not funny, right? This is not funny. And, people having different learning developments is not funny. But I think it's important to see the funny side of situations. It helps us cope. So just to kind of throw that out there, I don't want anyone to get sensitive in that way. And if you do, you're entitled to feel how you feel. I'm entitled to laugh at what I want to laugh at. You're entitled to feel offended by that. It's our human rights. The panther and the deer. So again, this is where the red flags are being waved, because the panther is predatory and the deer is prey, right? And you have this deer at the end of the reading here as well. Now, through meditation, about a week ago, I was getting a message about the panther and the deer. So the deer can be vulnerable, right? So someone who's vulnerable, particularly strongly coming through female vulnerability, right? In industry is what's coming through in your reading. So the deer alone in the forest, and a predator coming up to them, and say this predator was like, I don't know, like a lynx or something, I don't know, right? Or a coyote was how it came through. A coyote coming up to the deer and being like, dinner, right? So it was coming through with this energy of like, like a guy coming onto a girl, but in a predatory way, and the girl being vulnerable. But the deer knew this, but the coyote didn't. So it was almost as though, right, the specific scenario I was given was at some kind of event, a female kind of at the bar or something like this, and a drunk guy coming onto her and kind of touching her inappropriately, and kind of, really being quite inappropriate. And the deer turning around, so the girl's turning around to this guy and saying, okay, you don't want to do that because I'm protected. Like, it's like, it was coming through with, okay, so you want me, right? You think you're entitled to touch me, but who else wants me? Like, who else is watching me here? And this coyote looking around and seeing kind of almost in the shadows or in the background, a very powerful person who was also wanting the girl. So it's really coming through with better the devil you know. And it's, you know, the importance of having powerful friends in a predatory environment, basically. It's like having a powerful friend who can protect you from the other coyotes. Now, I don't like that because, again, like, the deer should be able to go wherever the deer wants without being harassed, right? There shouldn't be anyone around who is bothering this deer. The deer should be able to go about their own business and go to a party and have fun and whatever, right? But the scenario or the situation I was given was that there was somebody with a huge amount of power and influence who kind of isn't showy. Like, they sit in the background, they sit in the shadows, but they had their eye on this person. And it was like, because that person held so much power, this person was protected. Take it as a resident. Very Plutonic. And then there's also the panther, to me specifically talks, so that's these two together, what these two together are saying to me. And it's funny, they keep on coming out together. It's almost like, you know, like the lion and the mouse or the lion and the girl, those kind of old parables. It's like, it's almost like the predator and the prey have made friends, right? It's like they've teamed up together, because not in a way like the deer is the panther's pet, but there's affection. There's affection for the panther to the deer in an unexpected way, right? Because this, I don't know, I take it if it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. But there, like I say, there are red flags being waved in your reading. So what else was I going to say? The panther as well talks about, because different things talk about different chakras. With you having the star whale, starman and whale, and with you having the panther, the library, and the soil. So this is talking to me about your chakras. So going right from your root chakra, which comes to me with the images of like the roots of trees and soil. So you've got that here. Through your sacral chakra, which is the panther to me, which is like the panther lives in the undergrowth, and it's kind of like this wild, instinctive, like, yeah, like the instinctive wild part of yourself, like represented by the panther. And then the starman and whale is like going right up through all your chakras, through, if you imagine your tree is like your body is a tree, right? Going up through your branches and up into space. Now, into space is talking about your crown chakra and kind of like your ability to connect to, like if you raise your antennae, if you imagine you've got like antennae coming out of the top of your head. They're showing me the girl out of Guardians of the Galaxy, like the little bug girl, like going, like being able to put your antenna up and get those messages from the stars, right? So you've got this real up and down flow to your reading, which I'm going to kind of talk about here as well. Okay, just going to have a quick pause. Actually, do you know what? Let me go into your songs and then I'll pause and then we'll get into your cards. So with Skybridge, I heard, oof, with before this came out, so I'd pulled all the cards out, I'd put them together, I was shuffling them to get the order. So the split second before this came out, I heard it's time to meet your guide, right? It's time to meet your starman, Aries. And this card came out with possibility for union, and like, look at that. It's like going up to meet, it's like going astrally to meet your starman guide. There's something about books, like there's something about so sometimes I get a very specific story coming through. It could be that one of you it's coming through with uncle, but it doesn't have to be uncle. It's some kind of paternal figure, I want to say, who perhaps, again, like maybe a little bit, it's coming through with two examples. It's coming through, again, a little bit of red flag here. It's coming through with, I've recently read Stephen King's fairy tales, and there's like an old man in that who is a bit of a recluse and he's very bookish, and it's also coming through with the character from You. If you've seen the TV show You, the main guy Joe, he was kind of raised by this paternal figure. It wasn't his dad, he was kind of in the care system, but this paternal figure who owned this bookshop kind of raised him, but he again was a very strange character. So there could be somebody in your family who has this quality of being like a bit reclusive, a bit odd, again with this kind of starman energy. Like maybe they read a lot of books, maybe they have a big library of books, maybe they work in a library, maybe they work in a bookstore, but it's like they're very, very intelligent, they're very knowledgeable, and they're very but they've got a strange way about them, and there's something a bit hard. Again, they're coming through that kind of panther energy. It's like there's something about them that's like off-putting, right? There's something about them that makes people uncomfortable, or there's something a bit predatory about them in a way where it's making me think as well of like Dexter, you know, Dexter, and he's kind of raised by the policeman, and the policeman is he like teaches him, right? He's like, you know, I know I know what you are, right? I can see, I'm not saying this is anyone, like, this is like, it's just like the red flag, right? The red flag of like, this person's a bit fringe on society. And it's like, you, like, I see you for who you truly are. What are the thousands of girls like? When the flames get dark. That's Lana Del Rey. All the songs will be in the description box down below for you. So it's like somebody who sees, you know, it's like they see who you are, and or they see, again, it's like, it's weird. There's 3 people in this reading, so it's hard to fully establish like who's who. I don't know. I'm gonna leave that there and keep going. But again, it's coming through better the devil you know. So you've got Crazy in Love by Beyonce. Every Bottle Is My Boyfriend by CMAT. We're going out. So I do feel like you could be going to some kind of party, some kind of event. Somebody could have a bit of a problem with alcohol, which came through in yesterday's reading. Yeah, just, again, better the devil you know. Just be, there is a bit of a red flag waving, so just be wary of that. Especially because the next song that came through was Devil in Paradise by Cruel Youth. So let me get that one. Let me just pull that up. Like this song, like if you listen to it, Devil in Paradise, and Cruel Youth as well. Like not Devil Wears Prada, that could be something for someone. Devil in Paradise. It's like, again, it's like, it's almost like the opposite of silver linings. It's like the red flag linings of a silver cloud. Does that make sense? It's like something that seems like a really good opportunity. You have opportunity here. And it's to do with perhaps fame or money or prosperity or like ambition or dreams. But then it's got like strings attached. So be very, very careful, especially if you're signing something. So Devil in Paradise. I want to be where the sun don't shine, where the birds don't sing and the kids don't smile. So when I'm listening to this, it's almost like I'm picturing Beyonce, right? So maybe you're going into some kind of industry. Again, this Titans of industry thing. You're going into some kind of industry. You're being signed to a record contract or a modeling contract, or, you know, you're going to get to work in TV, or it's like you're getting to do your dream job in a way, but be careful about the strings that are attached. It's like, are you making a deal with the devil here? Right. I also got as well, I've been hearing it all week. I don't want to be a marketed baby. Right. So that's a Skunk Anansi song. I don't want to be a marketed baby. I don't want to be a product that's sold by a company. Right. So I want to be where the sun don't shine, where the birds don't sing and the kids don't smile. They say I saw the devil in paradise. I want to be where the night is day, where the roses die and the thorns ain't fake. And they'll say, I saw the devil with a smiling face. I'll never go back to California. I'll never go back to Hollywood. I don't want to feel no morning sun. Burn my shadow till the day is over and done. I'll never go back to Hollywood. I'll never go back to California. I'll never get old in those lonely hills. It's like the sun got frozen in an ice cold sky. Like, look at that. Look at this, right? Trapped there laughing where the stars don't shine. I'd die than live for them dollar bills. I want to be where the shotguns spray, where the gods get high and the priests don't pray, and they say, I saw the devil with a diamond chain. I want to be where the sun don't shine, where the birds don't sing, and the kids don't smile, and they'll say, I saw the devil in paradise. And then there's this bit where somebody's saying, like, the tone changes, and it's like, after all that I did for you, right? And it's coming through, you know that old song, I met him as a waitress in a cocktail bar when I met you, you know, and it's like, don't you want me, baby? So again, it's this energy of like somebody who is that power dynamic, right? Of the person who's in the industry, offering the contract, thinking that they own the person, thinking that they own the soul almost. So then it's sipping French wine with the devil, pretty little thing slipping my ride, said the devil, coasting by the Hollywood sign with the devil, getting that money on time with the devil. Mama said, don't you go sign with the devil. Titties out, sniffing Snow White with the devil. Clever guys lying and I'm busy. No, clever guys lying and I'm buying. They say I'm special. He sent the check but tied me over with a bezel. I don't know what that means. Promised me the penthouse, got me on the lowest level. Running from the repo when you thought you was a rebel. So it's like someone coming in and saying, I'll make you the next Beyonce. And then it's like you're living in this dive with like, you know, like you can't get out of it. Like, you know, living paycheck to paycheck, like they're giving you peanuts to keep you trapped. It's got that kind of like dodgy energy to it. Running from the repo when you thought you was a rebel. How are they going to tow you while you're sleeping in the rental? No one's going to know you, better show him your potential. And then by potential, she says, your kitty cat, guys, your little kitty cat, your coochie, your cha-cha. And then she says it explicitly. You better show him your before you get blacklisted. So yeah, it's like it's almost like the money trap, right? Or the contract trap. The you know, once you sign, they own you, right? Like once you sign, you're no longer a person, you're a commodity. I was thinking about this as well with like manufactured bands, you know, like I don't know specifically, like I'm going to name specific bands as examples, but I don't know specifically if any of them felt like this. But I remember it was like a thing in the 90s, and then people are worried about it with like K-pop bands as well. So, you know, like Spice Girls, S Club 7, Westlife, Boyzone Blue, all those kind of like manufactured bands, and then now you're getting it with like K-pop bands where it's almost like I think in the 90s what they did was like each person, if you think about Spice Girls, each character had a strong identity, or take that, right? Each character had a really strong identity. So it's like each individual was marketed in a certain way within that group, which meant when one left, the group really fell apart. Where I think, you know, I was saying it's like now what I think they're doing is they're making these groups and they're marketing the group, but then each individual person in it is disposable. So it's like that person leaves, we'll just replace them. So like I don't know, looking at groups that are like commercial groups, like they've, you know, and a corporation has put them together. It's like we want this group, we want this to be the vibe, we're going to manage the marketing, we're going to manage everything that's front facing, we're going to really create this image for them, we're going to create this. It's just like a created person. It's like people who aren't real, and then they're being marketed to us. So you can also see this in a really, really distressing way. It really worries me, actually, because again, it's like people are disposable. Like they are created as merchandise to sell by a brand. You know, they're created by an industry. An industry will create people as a brand. People are a commodity, and it's gross. So I was looking at, and I was saying what really worries me, and what I think is happening by commercialism in general, is you can look at young girls. Look how many young girls are getting lip fillers now to look like their favorite celebrity. And then you look at these celebrities like that the kids like, especially females, and they all have a similar look. And if they don't look that way, they get lip fillers, they get a nose job, they get, you know, the the funny eyes, what's it called now, the like cat eyes, like kitty, it's called something cute, it's like kitty cat brow lift, to make it sound really cute and sexy, but it's cosmetic surgery, guys. They're gonna cut your face open and inject things and put little bits of string in your face to give you a who needs a fucking lift, who needs a facelift when they're 16, but they're selling it, right? It's a product that they're selling, so they make you think you want it. And then like you know, like the jaw thing. So it's like basically what is being manufactured by media and the cosmetic industry is this is perfection. This is how you should look. If you look like this, you're perfect. If you don't look like this, you're inferior. So then you have all these girls who have like a favorite pop star or a favorite model or a favorite actress who all look the same. Not right, of course there's always counterculture, right? But you can definitely see this, the manufactured style, where and I think counterculture is also manufactured now, but that's a different story. So manufacturing the perfect girl, right? And then selling the perfect girl. And then, so say that actress turns 21, you know, maybe her face changes, maybe she's not that pretty anymore, maybe she's, you know, grown up a little bit and realized that she's been a marketed baby and she doesn't want to be in that industry anymore and she wants to do something different. The industry's like, fine, see you later, slam the door. Let's get one of those 14-year-olds and start grooming them to be the next, you know, the next it girl, because she looks exactly the same, because she was idolizing the girl before her and had the surgery, so she already looks exactly the same. She's already learned the dance moves. She's already wearing those kind of clothes. She's already doing her hair that way, so she can literally step into the shoes of the girl before her. Disposable, and it's created, and it's terrifying, don't you think? Right, anyway, that's me ranting. Yeah, and then I think counterculture is also managed. I think they then create the perfect pixie dream girl, you know, they could create the perfect rebel, like, and then it's like all the rebels are like, I want to be just like that rebel because she's so unique, and then I don't know, it's a whole thing. So okay, I'm gonna take a drink because it's getting really hot because I've been ranting, and then I'll be back with your cards. Yes, I think it's very hard for people to see the inner workings of an industry until you actually get into it. And then when you get into it, you've already signed, it's too late. My right ear's ringing really, really loudly, and it's been ringing all day, and it's right for spite, guys. So someone's saying bad stuff. Okay, so as well, it's like older people see it, right? The young, the dear are vulnerable because they don't have the life experience to understand quite how the devil manipulates, and the devil being industry in general, you know, commercialism in general, like operating and pulling strings behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff. The parents see it, right? The mum saw it in that song. She said, don't go signing with the devil. So, okay, let's get into your reading with all that in mind. So what's fascinating to me here, look at these two cards, look at these. So possibility for union and ancestral wisdom. There's something here with this orb in the background, and then here with power in reverse. So somebody could feel very powerless, or there's some kind of movement of power. So this orb is really important in this reading today. So this is 11 and this is 11, so you start the reading with 11-11, right? So, but be careful, because is it really 11-11? It does feel fated, but that doesn't, fate is neither good or bad, right? It's just destiny, you know, and sometimes there's good bits and sometimes there's bad bits. Also 1 and 1 make 2. So when I say 11, it's 4 and 7 make 11. And then if you break it down with numerology again, you get 2. So with it being possibility for union and having the 2s, it's like a coming together. And again, it could be you and somebody else coming together, like meeting up with someone. It could just be a meetup, especially because it's followed by 3 of water, which is like a get together, a celebration, a party, you and your friends, right? So it's like a possibility to meet up with your friends, possibility to meet up with somebody that you've always wanted to meet. I'm hearing celebrity, so just be careful. But then and it's this 3 energy, this 3, because it's like you're in the middle, again, stuck in the middle with you's playing in my head. It's like you're in the middle and you feel small and you feel like you're going with the flow and having fun and just going where life takes you. But what I want to say is you don't realize that you could think, you could have an idea that you're very go with the flow, you're very free and easy, you know, you're very you know, like if this was a party, it's like you just go with the flow, you know, you're like, I'm a free spirit. But there's something where you're actually seeing that it's like you've always been on this determined course, and choice is an illusion. Because can you see these big, it's like these are like 2 big titans of industry. So it could be like 2 businesses, 2 powerful, it's like 2 big powerful friends perhaps, or something like that. But it's like can you see, it's like it's almost like you've been corralled in some sort of way. It's like you always thought you had a choice. You always thought, you know, I'm going this way, but I could turn left or I could turn right. But it's almost like the illusion of choice. I don't know if you want to look up the illusion of choice in marketing. Again, we could talk about, yeah, absolutely. Why is this in your reading so much? So I'm talking about like the mainstream and the counterculture. So people think they have a choice, but actually they're only being presented with two choices. So yeah, it's like one of these, say this was like music industry, one of this is like mainstream record label, one of these is alternative record label, but actually they're working together because they're presenting themselves as two choices, right? It's like they're actually getting a huge amount of the population. It's like, does that make any sense? It's like most people are going to be like, it's like Take That and Blur. Do you remember Take That and Blur? Not Take That and Blur, Oasis in Blur. So in the UK in the 90s, when I was a teenager, everybody was like, you either like Blur or you like Oasis. You know, like you're either the indie girl, you know, which kind of indie girl are you? Are you the Oasis girl or the Blur girl? And I was like, I like both bands actually. Like I was always in the middle. I was like, what about both? But it was like this manufactured battle of the bands almost. It's like, which one are you going to choose? And in doing that, it actually pushed both bands up because everybody was, instead of like looking at like, I don't know, Pulp or I don't know, the Verve. I don't know who was around at the time. The Verve came later, I think. But it's like there was those, they were the big players, right? They were the big choices. And it's like, okay, maybe people liked a couple of other bands, but it's like, but everybody went out and bought either Blur or Oasis's album. And so in doing that, they were guaranteed the sales. Either Blur got the sales or Oasis got the sales. But, you know, either way, it was like both were pushed up because more people were buying the records. Here comes the beep beep truck. Hi, shout out my Capricorns. Do you see what I mean? So yeah, there are other choices, but it's almost like you've been corralled to, it's like either way you've bought one of the records. Somebody could be called Joseph. I'm just seeing the name out the window. So does that make any sense? Does anyone, it's like the illusion of power, the illusion of choice. Because you've only been offered two choices. It's almost like, right, there's like, honestly, Google the illusion of choice. It's a marketing technique. So it's like almost like, you know, the way they describe it is like, say you're in the supermarket and there's so much choice and it's like, it's overwhelming. So the way the marketing industry see it is like, we're going to simplify it for you. Instead of being like, you can have whatever fruit you want, we're going to be like, hey, do you want apples today or do you want bananas? And most people are going to then go, oh, I'll buy apples or bananas. Right? And maybe they'll buy some cherries because, you know, they like cherries, but it's like everybody's buying apples and bananas. So the apples and bananas win, you know? Does that make any sense? I don't know if I'm explaining it well. There are YouTube videos on it if you Google the illusion of choice. But it's like, you know, you could talk about two-party political systems and things like this. In the UK, we have Conservatives, Labour, and then we have like other parties like the Green Party, the Liberal Democrats. But people normally vote for Conservative or Labour because these are presented as the two main competitors. Like anything else is a waste of vote. That's the way it's presented to us. So it's like seeing this though. There's something where the higher you get, the higher maybe up the corporate ladder you get, the higher you get in some sort of industry, the older you get, the more you're able to have this high, the more you stand in the power, right? The closer you get to the power source, the more you see the patterns, the more you see the script, right? The more you see why you made the choices that you did and why your path has always led you to this point, something like that. And there is a sense of, again, this could be like a party, right? Could be a party. You're a free spirit Aries. You've been going with the flow, or maybe you're the leader. Because again, it's like three people, and then like everybody's following the leader. So again, it's like everybody's either buying Oasis or Blur, and then you get all the copycat brands, right? Or it's like everybody wants to be Madison Beer, or everybody wants to be Bella Hadid, right? And they like all these girls who have, I mean, I don't think Bella Hadid and Madison Beer necessarily look identical, but they definitely have a lot of the desirable features, right? If you look on Instagram, there's all these girls on Instagram who literally look the same, and if they don't look the same, they get butt fillers, they get lip fillers, they get, you know, they all do the hair the same way, and then if they still don't look like that perfect ideal, they start to use the filters, right? They start to, you know, suck the tummy in, like, so that the stomach is thinner than the neck, and, you know, pop the butt out and like make the boobs bigger and like make the face smoother and make the lips bigger and the eyes bigger. Like there's so many morphine tools now. Like I play with them myself, and I play with them and make myself look like an alien because I'm a child. But like, do you know what I mean? It's like everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody, because it's marketed, it's like the carrot on the stick, right? It's like this is what it is to be cool. This is what you have to do to get into the industry. If you want that star, if you want to be famous, if you want to be successful, and it doesn't mean you have to be like literally famous, but it's like if you want to be successful, or you want to be seen to be successful, or you want to feel successful, you know, you have to follow these steps. And again, look at how up and down it is, right? So it's like these patterns that have been created by everybody buying into the same thing, right? Everybody agreeing that that's beautiful. And this changes. It does change and morph over time. So for example, in the 90s, Kate Moss was like the epitome of beauty. And you had all these supermodels who were like, you know, it was called like the waif look. You know, it's like everybody had anorexia or like wished they did, you know. I'm making it, again, I'm laughing about something that's really serious, but it's like, you know, that beautiful willowy, like very skinny waif look that Kate Moss had, that was very rock and roll. I still love her. I think she's gorgeous. But she was the original, right? And then everybody wanted to be like her. And then you start to get all these other similar looking models. And then like, you know, society changed. And then you had people like Kim Kardashian, who were the epitome of beautiful, with a much more hourglass, much fuller figure. So the ideal of beauty does change. And I want to say this is because when a huge amount of the population has achieved that standard of beauty, it becomes mainstream, it becomes boring, it becomes everyday. And then people start to look for the counterculture type of beauty, and then that becomes the ideal. So it's like everybody, you know, like everybody went out and got the Rachel haircut, and then like that was like the most beautiful haircut you could possibly have. The Rachel, it was like the Rachel from Friends, everybody wanted her hair. But now that's become the Karen haircut, right? Because like all the mums have it. So it's like, it's what was unique and beautiful and desirable becomes mainstream and boring. And then it's like everybody then wants to change the hair, you know, like everybody gets the pixie cut, and everybody's like, oh, but long hair's really beautiful, I'm gonna grow my hair out. And then by the time everybody's growing the hair out to have that kind of like gorgeous like Madison Beer hair, everybody's like, oh, that's like literally every schoolgirl now, if you look at all the schoolgirls, 90% of them have Madison Beer hair. And then it's like, oh, but now maybe I want like curly hair, you know? So it's like everybody, it keeps people spending money. You know, red hair's desirable. Now dark blonde hair's desirable. Now light blonde hair's desirable. Now purple hair's desirable. Everybody's going out buying hair dye, spending money at the hairdressers. So it's like everybody's getting lip fillers, and then, oh no, people don't like lip fillers anymore. Everybody's paying money to have like the fillers dissolved. Do you see what I mean? It's like keeping the economy going in a way. So, and they're starting to see it. Another way I'm reading this is you are getting closer to the leader. So the power behind the scenes, the source of power, the magician, right? The Wizard of Oz, the person behind the curtain pulling the strings. So you're doing something that's bringing you closer to them. You're following the others, which is bringing you closer to this hidden magician energy, like the hidden starman. Now, there's something here where you see these, again, it's like three people. I'm seeing you as the person in the middle, but take it as it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. I'm seeing these two poles, or these two options, these two titans of industry, which are coming through here and here, right? It's like the gap is closing. The gap is closing, and you seem to be in the middle of, like I'm seeing you as this boat. You seem to be in the middle of this compression. So then you have come together, right? It's like there's with thunder. It's like, again, you could be with possibility of union. It could be that you are literally, if I read these cards quite literally, possibility for union. You are going to meet someone at a party. Maybe you're going to follow the leader. Somebody's going to be like, come to the VIP area and meet this person, you know, and then you come together and it's like a big kiss, a big hug, you know, like, but it's coming together with a clash, right? It's coming together with thunder. And again, like if you imagine these two massive mountains moving, be careful if you live in an area with like tectonic plates as well, because that could be tectonic plates. But it's like this movement of these two big, powerful, heavy titans coming together, and it creates this it's almost like a tidal wave, right? God, now I'm getting worried. This huge impact. But in doing this, now I'm thinking of like volcanoes and everything. Like in doing it, it's just the power of it, right? I just want to say this is emphasizing the power of this hit, right? This compression, these two things coming up together. But what's happening with this being like water in here, if you imagine squeezing a water bottle, right? When you compress the sides of a water bottle, the water comes up and out. And that's what I'm seeing here. It's like you were bobbing around in between these two, maybe this is like two people meeting, like maybe you're getting two friends together or something like that. But it's like in doing so, when these two close the gap, you're being pushed up and out, right? You are being raised up, right? So it's like you're going to find yourself on top of the mountain because of, it's almost circumstantial. It's almost like, again, it could be like maybe you're friends with two influencers, you know, but you're between them somehow, and it's like when they come together, you know, you're in the picture too, like you're in between them. So everybody's like, who's Aries? You know, tell me more about Aries. Now, if you're one of the people coming together, I want to say that it takes you into, again, it could be like a VIP area or like a side room or something like that. The refuge is coming through as like with opportunity and the authentic self. So for some of you, it's like the big reveal, like getting to see this person with the makeup off, with the mask off, perhaps undressed for some of you. I don't know where you're going. Maybe you're going to go to the hotel room with this person, but it's like you're seeing this person for who they truly are, what the thousands of girls like, you know. So, and like, look at that as well with I've never ever noticed that horse in there before, but it's like, do you see what I mean? It's like you're getting a really, really close look at this power, at this big, like, orb of power. Like the power, maybe the power, the influence, the charisma, something like that this person carries. It's like it's up close and personal now. Like you're seeing it. This is kind of almost like revealing, you know, like peeling off the layers, taking off the costume, something like that. And then like seeing them it's like seeing them in the dressing room. So like imagine it's kind of like imagine this was like a performer, like you know, a drag artist or something like that, and like, you know, they look like a peacock on the stage. They just look fantastic. It's like all color and dazzling and, you know, things like that. And then you meet them behind the scenes and like they're taking off the makeup, they're taking off the wig, you know, they're just putting like a t-shirt and jeans on, and it's like you see the truth of them. You see them as this human, this person, this approachable and I want to say it's good. I want to say it's really, really good. It's like you almost see how kind they are in that moment. Perhaps for some of you, there's a concern, right? There's a concern because you've heard all the stories of industry, right? You've heard the stories of old Hollywood, you know, in the 70s and, you know, the exploitation and things like this. It's like maybe you're scared of getting into an industry where, you know, you've heard all these bad stories about it. But I want to say there is an energy here that's good. And I'm not saying it's the person you're meeting necessarily, but there's somebody around you who has really, really good energy. So it could also be something like, you know, they say never meet your idol, but then like meeting them and being like, oh my God, like you like Star Wars, I like Star Wars. Like, I didn't realize you were such a nerd, like me too, you know, or like, you know, that thing that you like. And it's like something very human, you know, it's like, oh my God, you put mayonnaise on your chips as well, me too. It's like, you know, you see the humanity of them rather than having them up on this pedestal or platform. There's something as well about dressing up and clothing. I am getting drag queen because I'm also seeing it's something about this card. I don't know if it's the colours of the clothes. You know that movie, is it called like Stardust or something, with Robert De Niro, and he's a pirate and he's meant to be really, really mean, but then like again, like in his private quarters, like when you get close to him, like he's like dressing up in all the fancy clothes and he's really fun and really kind. Like the meanness is like a persona. So there could be something like that, like it's almost like playing dress up together or like trying on clothes. So I want to say there's some kind of, like you're seeing this person for who they truly are. It's almost like, you know, when you see two YouTubers doing makeup tutorials and they're like, you know, they're teaching each other. Like, who do I watch? Trixie Mattel. Trixie Mattel has a lot of special guests on, and they do, like, the guest will try and do the makeup like Trixie. So it's got that kind of feeling to it. It's like they're also getting you to try on new colors, or they're trying to get you to wear clothes that you've not worn before. It's kind of like Trinity and Susanna, but in a good way, you know, Gok Wan. It's like it's like they strip you. It's like almost like they strip you out of your clothes. They get you right back down to, like, almost like your naked self, like hopefully in a consent, like a way that's consensual. And then it's like they're rebuilding you in a way, but they're rebuilding you in a really fun, creative, colorful way. It's like, if I want to say, if this is somebody who is like, maybe you're meeting somebody who is like a marketing giant, right? Somebody who's really clever at marketing, somebody who really knows how to create a brand. And I'm talking about people as well. So it's like somebody who's creating your brand persona. It's like they're fine tuning you and they're creating this almost larger than life, very fun version of you that is marketable. But I don't know how you feel about it. It looks like you feel good about it. Again, I think there's concerns, I think there's red flags, but you're then coming out with peaks of joy. It's like by being pushed up, right? By being squeezed into, like almost like a cork. Maybe you are like drinking champagne or something, like being popped out the top of this volcano or this compression. It's like you suddenly are flying. It's like you suddenly, I don't know, it's almost like if you've been struggling to get on the bottom rung of a ladder, it's like as soon as you get a grip of that bottom rung, as soon as you meet this person, it's like it explodes for you. It's like 0 to 60. So you've got this overflow as well, overwhelm and plenty. So again, it could be, and new beginnings, right? It's like you come out in your costume, right? You come out with the persona, you come out with the, like, the character that you play. Maybe you do, like, maybe this is like stage, you work on stage and this person's, you know, the wardrobe designer or something like that. But I want to say it feels really good, but again, it could be really, really overwhelming. Overwhelming plenty. Someone could definitely be called David, by the way. I was talking about my uncle David. So we got the name Joseph, and I was saying my uncle David, and daffodils are a symbol of Wales, and Wales is St. David, right? St. Daffyd. Yeah, so it could be incredibly overwhelming, and it, like, as well, it's like a huge leap. This is a butterfly, but I'm seeing it as like a leapfrog, like a, what they called, like a, what they, grasshopper, like a grasshopper. It's like you're the grasshopper. And with it being peaks of joy and plenty, it feels like you're going to have, it's going to be really fast, or it's going to be really overwhelming, but kind of in a good way. But then there's this signing a contract with the devil business, right? And again, I'm not seeing anything bad. It's actually surrounded with really good energy. But again, it's like, now I don't know who this is. I don't know if this is who you're signing with, or if this is somebody who is like looking over the contract for you, because you have details, and clarity. So again, if you're feeling very, very overwhelmed by all this, again, it's like, I don't know, maybe getting together with a group that you've always wanted to get together with, and like, maybe you're like inexperienced, or you're the novice in some sort of way, and it all feels really good. Everybody's really friendly. I don't know, it's like being the new member in the band or something like that. Everybody's, you know, everybody else is kind of established. They've got their personas, they've got their larger than life characters, they've got their brand identity. And then it's like you suddenly get swept up in this. I'm seeing it as really colorful, really like, you know, if you imagine how colorful and glittery it would be backstage at like a drag act, like with lots of different performers, or like backstage at a if I was kind of making this a bit more UK, like backstage at a pantomime, you know, or some kind of performance where, or a burlesque or something like that, something where it's really, there's like feathers and sequins and colour. It's like, it's just so overstimulating, right? So it's almost like, again, if you're being offered some kind of contract, if you're being offered some kind of we want you to come and join our group, that kind of thing, take your time, especially if you're feeling very overwhelmed by it all. It's really important to take a moment, to take a deep breath, maybe to get some advice, because this is kind of King of Swords energy. Get somebody to look, like, if if you're not very good with like contracts or like, you know, wording and loopholes and that kind of thing, get somebody to kind of really, really look over this for you, because you know, legalese is confusing and overwhelming. So this is also 4343. So 43 could be a specific age, or you could live at house number 43. It could be a really significant number for you. You could, 4 and 3 as well as 7, and 7 is destiny. So take that as you will. But this is surrounded by, oh God, there's so many cards. You've got so many cards. Again, this is like so much. This details is surrounded by this absolutely gorgeous energy. And again, it is quite Aquarian, but it doesn't have to be an Aquarius. This gives me like King of Swords. So it's like the thinking man. So I feel like, again, the thinking man, very intelligent, very good at looking at the details, very good at looking at things from lots of different angles. Being Aquarius, it's like the hangman, right? So looking at things from different angles, looking at things from, like, again, like they've got the kind of mental faculties to really look at the details of something. Like, so again, this could be somebody, a friend, and it's like, read over this contract for me, make sure there's nothing I'm missing or nothing I'm not understanding, or, you know, getting your own solicitor and being like, I need advice here, I need legal advice. It could be you, right? Really kind of like taking a moment to think this through properly. So do take it as it resonates. Is that a little bunny rabbit? Like, I've been getting a lot of stuff about carrots and rabbits. And then Heal of the Ages. This is my Jesus card, guys. I'm so, like, look at this guy. Look at this dude, right? So take that as you will. But the card itself carries the energy of somebody who is very, very compassionate, very open-hearted. Again, kind of Aquarius. But Aquarius is kind of strange because they're so compassionate, but so aloof, right? It's like they feel untouchable. So it's like somebody who's, they're known perhaps for being, because you've got 6 of Earth here as well, it's like somebody who's known for being very, very charitable, somebody who's known for being very generous with their time, very generous with their advice. Like, they only have good intentions here. They could literally be a healer as well. This guy's got a crystal. You know, this guy's got like magic hands. Magic hands. And then you've got like lightning, which is like pure energy. So it's like, this could be like an energy worker, some kind of like somebody who works with crystals or healing. But it's like they're, it could also be like, this is somebody who's teaching you, like it's like you've got somehow managed to get close to this starman, like the starman energy, who perhaps this is, again, it's like almost like, if I was going to make this really etheric, it's like you've done enough shadow work to kind of come face to face, perhaps astrally, with your guide, with this really, really kind of this energy that's been working behind the scenes all along, and who has a huge amount of knowledge. Like, this is like, I'm surprised there's no books next to him. The thinking woman has a book in her hand. So it's like he's in this establishment, like he's in the like, it's like he's the librarian, right? He's the keeper of the Akashic records. He's the keeper of maybe this ancient, like, he always comes in with physics. Starman, when I get Starman in a reading, he comes into Capricorn readings a lot as well, which is strange because I see him as very Aquarius. But he's like, you know, when I'm channeling this energy, I'll start to get things about quarks and black holes and like things that I didn't even know were words. So like, I don't know, gyroscopic guidance system, or like, you know, like all this mad stuff. Like, and look at this here as well. It's like, this guy is like, again, it could be somebody who works in a university, you know, somebody who's like perhaps some kind of professor, or somebody who's like the keeper of the records, like they're locked away. Or like, even, you know, like they say that the Vatican has a secret library. Have you ever heard of that? Like the Vatican has like a secret museum or a vault, and they don't say what's in it. And the only way, like, they will let you go in and see what's in it, but you have to request. So it's like, they don't tell you what's in the library. But if somehow you knew what was in the library and you wanted to go and look at a specific book, you could request to see that specific book. But how do you know that book's in the library, right? Do you see what I mean? It's so like, there's this weird kind of like, somehow you've gained access to this. Somehow you've got close to this. Like very, very, it's like the keeper of knowledge. And but they're sharing it really openly, because this is like, this is a card about making things right, like making things. And again, this is kind of that kind of Starman energy. If you want to talk about, and again, it's just energy. And I'm not saying this is what it is, but it carries that kind of motif. So the Starman, if you think about like aliens, right? And people always say like, you know, what if aliens were some kind of protector of Earth? What if aliens, you know, they come by to share their wisdom and they share their knowledge and they advance our technology? You know, some people have this concept of aliens as being these benevolent watchers, right? So it's like, I'm not saying it's the aliens, but it could be the aliens, right? I feel like it's somebody around you. Again, maybe you work in a university. I get that a lot for Aries, like accessing, like breaking the glass ceiling. I remember having a really impactful reading once where, you know, talking about race, where it was coming through as though somebody from a certain minority had got onto a course that was very, very like white man, right? So it was like getting into kind of like a doctorate in medicine, which I think now is much more multicultural and diverse, but years and years ago it was very like, if you were a rich white man you could go and study medicine, right? And it's like, if you weren't, probably wouldn't go and do that. But like, I remember somebody was like breaking through the glass ceiling and going into what felt like some kind of university course where they were like, again, like opening the path for others to follow. And again, it feels like you've perhaps really proved yourself on your course, something like that. You've really earned your place there. And not only have you earned your place, you have been granted access that a lot of people wouldn't get, right? You've gone beyond the ordinary. And so getting to see this character who is it's like they also share the same desire to make things more fair, to make things more equal, to share the energy equally, right? It's like, this shouldn't be something that, because this energy, whatever it is, or this knowledge is something that is, it can benefit mankind, right? It can benefit humanity. It can benefit the world. It's something that's more important than money or, you know, business or anything like that. So it's almost like, you know how one of the, I can't remember specifically who it was. I want to say maybe Tesla. There was one of the scientists historically who was doing a lot of research with energy, and they wanted to make energy free. They basically invented like Wi-Fi, and they had this whole system where like they could generate and share electricity like, and make it free basically. And this was I believe the idea was patented or like closed in. So again, I can't remember the history exactly, but if you look it up, you should be able to find it. So I think one of the people was Tesla, but like the industry, right, the science industry kind of came in and kind of like took it and marketed it. Henry Ford as well. Was it Ford? There was something about cars as well where they were going to have like some form of like free transport, I think, and they took this idea that was meant to be for everybody and very, very kind of egalitarian, is that the word? And they turned it into the car market. And if you look at the car market and like luxury cars and stuff like that, a huge amount of money to be made in that. So it's like, and you see this now with Elon Musk, where Elon Musk has, yes, he's a businessman, but he carries that Starman energy. He carries that kind of, exactly what I was saying, right? Exactly what I was saying. So if you think about Elon Musk, some people are like, he's definitely got alien DNA. Like somebody in his family tree was definitely an alien. It's like he just doesn't seem human. He's kind of weird, right? But like the weirdness makes him innovative. The weirdness makes him charismatic and engaging and fascinating, and he gets that attention, and then he turns that attention into, I mean, he's got that kind of madman brilliance of like, and I think he's a questionable character. I think, you know, I followed him on Twitter for a while and stopped unfollowing him because some of the things he posted were questionable and not in alignment with my own values, something I feel really sick. But at the same time, and this is the thing about people not being wholly good or wholly bad, right? People are not black and white. People are multifaceted and complicated, and there's a huge amount of grey areas with each individual. J.K. Rowling is another character. Like, people hate her now, and yet she created this this series of books that were hugely impactful and hugely beneficial in so many different ways. So she's one of those characters that's good and bad. That is really annoying. Sorry, guys. I'm nearly done with the reading now. So it's like, this feels like that kind of person. It's like maybe they work in, because that kind of Aquarius King of Swords energy, they can work in like the field of like technology and electronics and like all those kind of like brainiac kind of fields, you know, like mathematician brain. But they're humanitarian. So it's like whatever they're doing, it's almost like, do you know what? We're going to make solar panel cars, and we're gonna give them away free because we see the greater good beyond commercialism, beyond like, this shouldn't be a business. This should be something that everybody has access to for free, because it will improve the state of the world. Like, we have to save the planet, right? We have to save the planet, and commercialism is destroying the planet. Business is destroying the planet. What we need to do is create a way to make things sustainable and make things not damaging to our world, because we all live here. Again, it's like that, you know, boiling it down to, if you prick us, do we not bleed? Like, okay, you know, these big maybe it's like two big titans of industry. Maybe it's like Tesla. And is that Elon Musk's business? I was talking about Nicholas Tesla. So yeah, maybe it's like Tesla and like Microsoft, right? It's like because the competitors, right? Nobody expected them to come together and be like, here you go, here's computers for free, here's the internet for free, and the internet was supposed to be free, right? And then people create business around the free thing. Here's free travel, here's free healthcare, here's free food, right? There's something where it feels technological to some sort of extent. It feels like, because this is making things equal. This is somebody who's in a position to give, somebody who has a lot of money, who can give money to or resources to people who don't. So again, with that edge of with this thing about who can access information, who can access the library, who can access, if you think about the cost of books as well, you know, one of my favorite things when I first signed up to university, when I first got on the course, was I suddenly had access to this wealth of information that was locked behind a paywall. So because as part of my university course, you had access to it. So when my university course ended, I didn't have access to that, but it was things like, is it JSOR, Jessor, and all these like, it was all these like historical books, right? Like bestiaries or bestiaries, and like Bibles, and you know, Shakespeare's First Folio, and you know, all these like old books that had been scanned again by a university to make something more easily accessible. Like, they'd all been scanned and put online, and you could look at these, you could look at images of these 100-year-old books, you know, and it was like it really felt like that. It really felt like being given the key to the library, to being given the key to history, like having the access to that. So it could be something like that, like it's funny, like, you know, like how NASA they put their images up for free, and you can quite freely share them as long as you don't like they kind of do it as like copyright free or open access, all the NASA space images, so like the James Webb Telescope and things like that. I mean, you have to look at each one individually because it depends where NASA got the image from, but NASA's own images, they allow them to be freely shared for the benefit of education, for the benefit of, because you never know who's going to look at something. Some 11-year-old kid could be sat in their bedroom in a council house going to a shit school, but they could have the kind of brain that looks at something and goes, oh, I've had an idea about this, and they tweet NASA, and NASA's like, oh my god, why did none of our scientists think of that? Get this kid in the boardroom. You know, like, we need to like mine this kid's brain for information, because the way this kid's brain works is like different. It has that kind of feel to it. So a lot of stuff in that reading. It was a big reading, but hopefully really, really helpful to somebody. Again, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Let's get you an Akashic advice card. Oh, it's right at the back. So if you're in the library, go right to the back and see what's there. Go into the, like, you know, the old section of the library. Go where all the oldest books are kept and see what's there. That's quite a lot. So initiation. Initiation of the Count Saint Germain. I'm going to take that card. You've also got Two Worlds, Caught in the Ruins, Spring, Autumn, Archangel Gabriel. Archangel Gabriel's to do with communication. Anything else? Doesn't that feel like the people who, I don't know, like everybody went and did a degree, and then only 4 people went on to do the masters, and now the people who are doing the masters get to see the special part of the library. How cool is that? And how appropriate to what we've been talking about. 14. Oh, Aries, take me with you. I want to see the cool library. Standing among the pillars within a beautiful temple, the ascended master, Count Saint Germain, sends his light and energy to the 4 robed people who stand before him. It's time for their initiation. Doesn't it have a similar energy? Like, look at that. Like, look at that. Look at these dudes. Who are you meeting? Who is this guy? The card represents your initiation. It's much more than a change or even a transformation. It's nothing less than your movement into higher revelations. Exactly what I was saying. Higher revelations of power, right? Exactly what I was saying. It's like you're getting pushed up to get closer to the power. Higher revelations of power, insight, and achievement, and the time is now. Like, look at that. Didn't I say? It's like you're getting pushed up closer to the source of power. Look at dragon power, right? Like, you're getting closer to it, so you're getting this higher perspective, like this ancestral perspective. This is so cool, Aries. Some loss of lower vibration relationships, job, or activities may be required in order to lift you to the new heights and power. What did I say? It's like you're being pushed up, right? To lift you to the new... I'm fascinated. To lift you to the new heights and power that await you. Your initiation can be Your initiation can be aided by meditation and study, as well as by connecting to the ascended masters with whom you have worked for centuries upon centuries. Like, again, like, it's like this guy, like, it's like this, whoever your starman is, right? Like, they're going to share their knowledge with you, right? They see you as worthy in some sort of way. Know that you have shared purpose and activities with the masters, even if you aren't certain of what they are yet. The disciplines you create now during your initiation and the work you do with the masters will lift your service to the world and all humankind. This is a time of enormous uplifting, first in your energy and evolution, and then in your manifest outer reality. The power that you hold within will impact every part of your life. Akashic Force, close your eyes. So this is like a little meditation thing. Hello? Hello? Can we please? There we go. Close your eyes and see yourself on the path of your initiation with the Count Saint Germain beside you. Feel your energy and receptivity heighten as your vibration quickens, realizing there are no limits or hindrances. What's next for you? So it's making me think as well, you know, talking about going into the Vatican Library, I would love to do that. Like, I would love to do, like, to have a tour around it and have someone show me, like, all the secrets. Like, I would be absolutely fascinated. Like, Vatican, if you're listening, I will swear to secrecy. Like, I would love to see that. So Vatican, if like the Vatican's watching my videos, right? But it has that feeling of, we have this idea, again, this could be like science and religion. So a lot of people have this idea of science and religion being at odds. If you think about, you know, like the schools in America that won't teach Darwinism and stuff like that, it's almost like I see it as a rejection of God's brilliance, because in my belief system, which is very much a bit of a, it's not even a pick and choose, it's like a smush of everything. It's like, what I believe God is, you know, whatever that power or that universal energy is that we call God, that creator energy, I think we do it an injustice if we ignore parts of that creation. So to see that energy as wholly good or wholly bad is is to not see it correctly, right? Now I'm thinking holy see. So it's perfect in its design, and within that perfect design, it's accounted for the beginning and the end of time. It's accounted for technological innovation. It's accounted for scientific discovery. Because I believe if God created everything, right? If God is the creator who created everything, he's not only created disease, he's created the cure for the disease. So you have those people who are like, who are almost, believe in certain religions. It's like Mormons who believe, if I get sick, either God will save me and God will heal me, or God will let me die, right? And it's like they don't believe in modern medicine. But to me, modern medicine and scientific discovery, and the people who are in the right place at the right time to make those discoveries, it's all part of the divine plan. It's all divinely guided. It's all part of the bigger system. So like, if God didn't want, right, say there was an illness and there was like something that cured that illness, and like medicine, created it, like it was like, I don't know, you had to purify it, you had to filter it, you had to, turn it into, you had to inject it, like it's invasive in some sort of way. If God didn't want you to have access to that, they wouldn't have created the thing that does it in the first place. They wouldn't have created the person who discovered it. They wouldn't have created the ability to administer it. It's all part of it. And again, if you don't believe that, if you have a different belief system, that's absolutely fine. This is my belief system. And so a lot of the people, like, I think it was Faraday. If you look at Michael Faraday, and again, he worked with lightning, right, and electricity and magnetism and things like this. If you look at Michael Faraday, he was very religious. He would actually go around to different people's homes to kind of like read passages and things like this, and to hold meeting groups. And he really believed that what he was doing in understanding lightning, it's funny that we end with lightning, in understanding lightning, he was getting closer to God because he was understanding God's creation. He was understanding God's gift better. It's like, God has gifted us lightning. Let's see what we can do with this. What else has God gifted us with? How can we make these work together? So he was a very, very scientific man, but he was also a very religious man. So I don't know why in our modern culture we see this as two different things. It's bizarre to me. But yeah, maybe this is like this, like, if aliens exist, God created aliens, right? Why can't that be true? Why can't, like, this divine energy, this source material, like, why wouldn't they be like, like me when I play sport, it's like, let's design humans today, let's design the earth, let's design the world, let's put some animals on it. Okay, that seems to be doing pretty well by itself. I'm going to go over here and work on this other planet, and I'm going to put, I don't know, these weird grey, like, I'm going to take like humans, but I'm going to kind of make them grey, and like give them really like big powerful brains. Like, like over here I'm going to put lizards on this planet, these lizard people. Like, who said that God wasn't, like, the universe isn't God's playground, and he put like different life on different planets? Like, why not? Like, do you know what I mean? So like, I'm sorry if you think I'm making fun of you. I'm not. Like, it's just the way my brain works. So it's like, and then he like comes back around, he comes back to Earth, and he's like, whoa, I'm saying he, right? The energy is like, they come back to Earth and like, what on earth have you done to this planet? Why is there oil in the ocean? Why is that bird covered in oil? What happened to the polar ice caps? Like, why are the polar bears in the sea? Like, what? This is not, it's like, if you leave the simulation running, like if I was playing The Sims and I left it unpaused and I came back to it, and it's like, the house is on fire, this person's starving, like, and it's like, oh my goodness, like, as the watcher of The Sims, like coming back in and being like, pause, right, you put out that fire, you go and get something to eat. It's like resetting everything, like, go and water the garden, unpause the simulation, right? Everybody's doing what they should be doing again. Why are you dropping interactions? Why aren't you doing what I told you to do? So it's that kind of thing. I don't know. That's how my brain works. That's how I see it. And if you see it a different way, that's fine. Let's get you a song, and then I'm going to shut up and upload this hour-and-a-half reading. And I guess I'm not going to do another reading for a few days. Oh, you had Tainted Love by Pomplamoose as well, which ties into the reading I did yesterday. I'm so glad, those of you who watched the whole video, like, who sit here and listen to me waffle on for this long, like, hi besties, Right, you're definitely big brain. You definitely, if you've watched to this point of the video, you're either super angry and like raging and kind of, like rage watching, like anger watching, or you're like nodding along and going like, maybe you don't even see it the same way, but you're like, I get your perspective and it's interesting. It's interesting to me to think about these things. So, if you made it, you're either my bestie, or if you hate me, thanks for the watch time. Thanks for the view count, guys. Don't forget to subscribe for more hate watching. Right, Tainted Love by Pomplamoose. Let's get you a song for this reading. What do we need to hear at this point? What is the big message? What do we need to understand? The Nights by Avicii. I love it. Once upon a younger year, when all our shadows disappeared, the animals inside came out to play, so the beast inside, right? Went face to face with all our fears, learned our lessons through our tears, made memories we knew would never fade. I'm getting head to toe spirit bumps. One day my father, he told me, son, don't let it slip away. He took me in his arms, I heard him say, beep beep trucks, shout out Cappies. When you get older, your wild heart will live for younger days. Think of me if ever you're afraid. He said, one day you'll leave this world behind, so live a life you'll remember. My father told me when I was just a child, these are the nights that never die, my father told me. When thunderclouds start pouring down, light a fire they can't put out. I love that, light a fire. I'm getting, spirit bumps again. Light a fire they can't put out. Carve your name into those shining stars. He said, I'm going to cry. Go venture far beyond the shores. Don't forsake this life of yours. I'll guide you home no matter where you are. Maybe this is like a father figure who's passed over. And then it repeats. Think of me if ever you're afraid. Oh, so lovely. And then it, like, the video, like the clip is like him having fun. And he did die young, right? Which was tragic. But he lived a life. He lived a memorable life, which, how do we get the balance right there? How do we live a memorable life in a balanced way that is hopefully a long life, but a good life, right? What's the point of living a long life if it's full of hardship and pain and you never enjoy it, right? If every day is a struggle, like, wouldn't you rather... It makes me think of my mum passed away at Christmas, and my stepdad is he could have sat down and wasted away and done nothing, but he's so strong and so inspirational. So he's taken up, he's not very well himself, right? He has arthritis and things in different medical conditions that make his that make his body quite painful quite often, but he was like, I'm not going to sit here and do nothing. So he came ice skating with us, which was the funniest thing. So I was saying, like, my two little Pisces, because my son's Pisces and he's Pisces, and they both had these polar bears, which is so funny to me, because I say that polar bears are like Pisces energy, like this energy of perseverance, like being built for it, right? Being able to bear it and persevere. And so he's called David as well. Funny, the name keeps coming up. And then he, even though he's got bad knees and arthritis, he came out onto the ice with us. And my son, who is, equally nervous and, wobbly on his feet, like, they were kind of like side by side on the little polar bears, kind of like skating around the edge of the rink. And I was so proud of him for doing something that was out of his comfort zone, but he enjoyed it, and he was living his life with his, with my kids, his grandkids. And I think my mum would have been really proud. I think she would have found it hilarious. I think she's probably there, kind of in spirit, absolutely like rolling with tears rolling down her eyes, laughing at him, but like so proud that he did it. And then he's taken up canoeing as well, like kayaking. So he's been at the local pool, like taking kayaking lessons, and he's been out on a river. And yeah, there's risk involved in that. And, he's probably really sore the next day, but he's living his life, and he's continuing to live his life, and it's really inspirational. So be more like the Pisces polar bears, who, even though their ice caps are melting, they keep on swimming. There's a huge amount of inspiration in that. I don't know. And live your life and enjoy it. Take care, guys, and I will see you again soon. Bye, friends. Sorry guys, a little bit more information came in when I finished the reading. They were pointing out to me that Pluto's in Capricorn. I kept on mentioning Capricorn in the reading, and you had all that stuff about like sipping French wine with the devil. So I'm not saying Capricorns are devils. I think anything but. I think Capricorns are absolutely like they put on a tough show of it, but they're like, you get close to them and they're the sweetest. But that's Saturn, because Saturn rules Capricorn. Saturn and Pluto energy together. So Capricorn, Scorpio, Saturn and Pluto is very, very controlling. And all that stuff I was saying about, Capricorn can come in with like control, so systems of control, so big business, politics, things like this. It's like the structures, and then Pluto with the emotional control as well, like that whole Devil in Paradise song. I feel like I forgot to mention, but like the cards of the reading, there was nothing bad there. It was actually coming through as very, very very, very positive. We didn't see the devil card, we didn't see the death card. There were no cards really about sex. So it's like, I feel for a lot of you, you leaving a situation, you're leaving a place where you are recognizing how you were controlled, perhaps emotionally, perhaps financially. Anything that's been controlling us through fear, through emotion, like emotional manipulation, through just basically anything that's been controlling us. I'm seeing a sloth. I don't know if that matters to anyone. Anything that's been controlling us, those old structures, as Pluto starts to move into Aquarius, and you ended the reading with that Aquarian energy, those old structures are going to lose control and they're going to lose power. There's going to be a bit of a dark period where those energies, those structures try to hold on to their power, where they may really show their true colors. Again, thinking about if any of you saw the news this week of a very quite a famous Twitch streamer, female Twitch streamer, who kind of revealed that she had a very, very controlling, abusive husband. In their words, again, I don't know the situation. I only saw that was what was being reported. Those people who, it seemed like he was kind of pimping her out, to be honest, on Twitch to make money. It's like this really gorgeous girl who, I'm not judging anyone for the way that they dress, but she does dress in a provocative way. She has ample assets, very beautiful girl, right? And a lot of people, I think, will watch that because they find her attractive. And I think that the boyfriend kind of knew this and hid the fact that she was married because he wanted her to look available. So really, really gross. If it's all as it appears to be, really gross. And he absolutely like berated her publicly over the phone. Like, you heard the way he spoke to her, and it was like, again, if this is all like as it appears to be, and it was disgusting. I would never allow somebody to speak to me like that. I certainly wouldn't continue to be married to them. I'd be like, take your fucking money, I'll live in a tent as long as I don't have to be anywhere near you, right? So I mean, that's just me. So you could be breaking away from, but the thing is, when you're in a manipulative relationship, and let's be honest here, people can really control people through emotions, through making people think that they don't have any independence, that they're, that they won't cope, that they won't survive without this person to protect them and all that kind of thing. So, a lot of the time people gaslight people in relationships, and the person who's in the relationship doesn't see it clearly. People are like, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you get out? And it's because they were almost indoctrinated just into believing that they couldn't. So I think these power structures in general are really going to start to break away. And again, Pluto itself is not a bad sign. Capricorn itself is not a bad sign. Like, Scorpios are not a bad sign. Pluto and Saturn are not bad planets. But the combination of energies means that because Capricorn is infrastructure, tradition, the way things have always been, and then Pluto is the destroyer. So Pluto is really destroying all those old infrastructures that are, especially the ones that were abusing their power. Like, Pluto's having none of it. Again, it's like for us, right? The destruction is for us. It's to is to break those things down so that the Aquarian energy can come in. Pluto in Aquarius now is going to be much more to do with technology and humanitarianism, and anything that doesn't work with that is going to get broken down. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting, I think, over the next sort of 10-20 years to see what Pluto does in Aquarius, to see what innovates, to see what is no longer fit for purpose, and to see the impact that's going to have on us as a collective. So yeah, I just really want to reassure people, like, if you are going into something, like, with that details, obviously get someone to look over any contracts that you're signing. You don't want to sign your life away, you know, but also you know, recognize that you do have power, and that not everything is bad. You know, just because things were bad in the past doesn't mean that the new thing that you're moving towards is going to be bad as well, because it does look as though you're moving out of something where you were being controlled into something where you're being granted a much more like a much more compassionate, kind of open access. So I hope that was helpful. Take care of yourselves. I'm seeing 555 on my current timestamp. So yeah, big changes coming in. Big changes, I want to say, to financial institutions as well, and the way that we perceive money, and that the way we run our financial institutions. I'm going, bye.